is set. Capturing 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Your Omaha High with Andy Greenberg is being sponsored by Best Buy Signs, creator of the Omaha Parks program, OmahaFastFoods.com, Certified Transmission, Sholdit, Rotella's Italian Bakery, La Peeps Restaurant, Two Men and a Truck, Shout Weekly, Critter Control, Russ Kaplan Investments. Welcome to Your Omaha High with Andy Greenberg, the show that will leave you feeling great about yourself, Omaha's heroes, and Omaha, where we live, work, and play. So park yourself on the bench and have fun. Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of Your Omaha High with Andy Greenberg, the show that you turn into each and every week. Why? For that great feeling, that feel-good feeling. About what? About yourself, about Omaha, and about a great nonprofit organization here in Omaha that does some great things for everybody. This week, of course, we're going to have our 3 motivational vignettes. We are going to talk about that nonprofit, but this week, we're also going to meet someone who is actually living the Omaha life, a life that is here for each and every one of us, an individual who has a great career, a great family, who's always upbeat. And this is a face and name you're going to be familiar with. This is somebody that each and every one of us wants to be like. And Kristi Andersen is going to teach us how to do that based on the life that you live right here in Omaha, Nebraska. And we'll be talking to you in just a few moments after we continue with the 3 motivational vignettes. So let's get started. Now, let's assume for a moment that you are going to be an individual who is going to meet the very first alien from out of space. Now, I want you to imagine that for just a moment. I want you to imagine that particular character. I want you to imagine what's going to be going through your mind. Now, how do you picture that alien? How do you picture that encounter? Are you afraid of the alien? Is that alien going to attack us? Is that alien going to have some kind of secret powers? Well, you know what? The way you answered that is based on all the influences that you've had in the past. You've seen movies, you've read books, you have seen other people make up stories about aliens, and each and every one of those experiences is going to influence you. As a matter of fact, have you ever heard anything good about an alien from out of space? Probably not. So right off the bat, you're going to go into that experience feeling negative. Now, the funny thing is, anytime you have a brand new experience, what is the first thing that's going to go through your mind? All the influences in the past. And most of the stories that you've heard, most of the fear that you're going to be getting as a result of this new experience is all preconditioned. It's all pre-influenced. And I want to go back to that alien. Might be a good guy, might be a good person, but you never gave that opportunity, did you? Because you thought about the bad things. One of the things we want to learn about an alien encounter is an alien experience. Something you've never done before. Something that you really want to think about doing. Never, ever let a previous influence impact what could be and should be a very positive outcome. Make up your own mind. Don't let other people tell you how bad it is or how good it is. Go into each and every alien experience with a positive attitude, with a successful outcome, and you'll see what will happen to you. It will be positive. Now, I want you to imagine the following thing. I want you to think about a rowboat. Just visualize that rowboat for just a moment. Now, when you think about that rowboat, where is it? Well, you've got some options. The first option, of course, is that rowboat is right by the dock doing nothing. It's empty. Another visualization that you could have about that rowboat is it is in the middle of a lake. It's just standing there. Or the other option that you have when you think of a rowboat is you're in it. You know what you're actually doing? You're actually rowing that boat. Well, what does that mean? That means you are part of the action. You are in control. You are setting the direction. You are just not sitting there totally stagnant, just watching life go by. Every time you think about a rowboat, every time you think about yourself, every time you have that kind of visualization, get into the action. Take those hands. Allow that sweat, do that work, and always continue to row in a direction that you want to go to. Because yes, there are opportunities to sit and relax, but you can always do that after you accomplish something. And that's the important thing to you. So when you think about something, when you think about an activity, think about the physical part of it, think about going somewhere, think about putting the work behind it. Because only then will you get out of the dock. Only then will you get out of your comfort zone. Only then will you get to that destination that you picked for yourself, that you deserve, that you should get to. It is this time during each and every one of our shows that we begin with the motivational vignette. And today we're going to be talking about the Empowerment Network. Now listen very closely. The Empowerment Network is a collaboration of residents, neighborhood groups, community organizations, educational institutions, faith communities, elected officials, philanthropists, government agencies, and businesses working together to make measurable change in Omaha. Their mission is to transform the city of Omaha into a great city, thriving and prosperous in every zip code and neighborhood. The Empowerment Network addresses poverty, economic and educational gaps, and the quality of life disparities. How? By building wealth and income, creating strong families, preparing successful children, and rebuilding thriving neighborhoods. It is an holistic approach and comprehensive community building activity. Strategies and plans have been developed in a number of areas, including community engagement, job development and training, education and youth development, business development and entrepreneurship, housing and neighborhood development, violence intervention and prevention, and creating arts, culture, and an entertainment district. To get involved and to learn more, please go to www.empoweromaha.com. That's www.empoweromaha.com. So many of us have come to Omaha to live the dream life. And you know it's here for you. Why? Because that is what the media is telling us. And they're doing a great job. It's one of the top 10 cities in just about every measurable category. A balanced life, a great life, is here for the taking for each and every one of us. How do we live it? Well, we live it through example. We live it by goals. We live it because, quite frankly, it's here for us. And sitting right to my left is Kristi Andersen.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
And you know what I love about you? You're always great. You're always upbeat. And you've got this well-balanced career, and you've got your family life. And what I want to be able to understand from your point of view, Kristi, how do you do it, and how can others emulate the balanced life that you have, the career, the family, and always the upbeat attitude? How do you do it?
Andy, thank you. I mean, those are some very kind words. I'm not sure I deserve them, but I always try to be as positive as I can. And I spent 15 years as a journalist telling other people's stories. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, that was great training ground for having a positive attitude, because no matter what, someone's always having a worse day than you. Always.
Yes.
But I do try to be positive. My grandmother, I grew up with two sisters, and my grandmother would always tell us, kill them with kindness. And so I live by that advice all the time. And so when I'm not having a great day, I always kill them with kindness.
Sure.
But certainly I am human, and I do have bad days, and my husband can attest to that.
Well, I'm sure when you have a bad day, he's one of your support groups.
He is, and that is key. It's always key to have those family and those friends around you, and you just can't be successful without that.
Absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about her career. She started off, at least when I met her 8 years ago, as a reporter for one of the best news channels here in Omaha, Nebraska. As a matter of fact, she had the opportunity to interview me. And you know what? You talk about goals. It was always my goal to one day interview her and return the favor. Oh. So we're here today doing that. Not only that, after she finished her journalism career, she went on to work for Senator Mike Johans as being her press secretary, his press secretary, and in addition to that, now she works for MECA. Now, one of the things that I want you to remember that Kristi said was she emulated the advice of her grandmother. That is a terrific role model. That is a terrific way to always shape your life. And as I always do during the show, the question is, who do you emulate? And by the way, who emulates you? So I want to go into journalism for a moment. Well, how did you get started? What got you involved in communications and journalism?
Well, I was a senior in high school and from a small little town in South Dakota, and I had a speech and drama teacher.
Right.
And she said to me when I was a senior, she said, okay, Kristi, what are you going to do when you go to college? And to be honest, Andy, I didn't really know. I thought I've always been very interested in people and how they think and how they react to things. And so I thought, well, you know, maybe I'll do psychology, right?
Sure,
or
sure.
sociology. It just made sense.
Yeah.
And she said, she looked me straight in the eye, and I've never forgotten this, and she said, no, you will go into broadcasting. And she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I admired her very much for a million reasons. And so I took her advice, and I enrolled in journalism school at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And I went to my first broadcasting journalism class. Loved every minute of it. Never switched my major, which most people switch at least 7 times, right? Never swithed my major, and was fortunate to work in journalism and that field for 15 plus years. And you know, I have had the great fortune of interviewing celebrities, presidents, covering Hurricane Katrina, doing all of these amazing things, and it has awarded me so many opportunities. And you know, I thought I liked psychology, and really being a journalist is a bit like that. You know, you sit across from people and you bring out information in them, much like a therapist or a psychologist
And you tell their story.
And I tell their story. So
it's so amazing to watch people in their careers. Here was someone, I don't know what I want to do with my life, and I bet each and every one of us actually went through that. And you search for information, you search for a coach, and someone says to you, you know what, why don't you try that? Now, many of us would say, you know what, I don't need your advice. You don't know me. I'm not going to do it. And there you have it, the missed opportunity. On the other hand, what will happen if you start to take people's advice? What would happen if you start to listen to what they have to say? Because, by the way, whose best interest do they have in mind? At the end of the day, believe it or not, yours. And you might be able to enjoy something. So if right now you're saying to yourself, what am I going to do with my life? And you don't have the answer, ask for guidance. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And see how much you can get out of that. Because sometimes other people see skills in you that you don't see in yourself. So you did a great job as a reporter. You were the anchor in the weekend, if I remember correctly. You did a marvelous job. You always had that smile, that very upbeat thing, and you always knew how to get into the story.
Thank you.
So of all the stories that you've done, especially here in Omaha, what were some of your favorites? What were the ones that you really liked that you wanted to go after, or the assignment editor said, Kristi, do this story?
A couple of, I always loved interviewing kids. They are so honest and open and really provide us all with a great lesson in looking at the world the way I think that we all should, with an open mind and a full glass. But beyond that, I had the good fortune of being, Seven Can Help, if you've heard of it, that was the franchise that I did. So I was a consumer investigator.
Remember that, yes.
And I absolutely loved digging through court documents and finding information and finding answers. And when I was able to do those stories, so someone would call the newsroom and they would have an issue, perhaps they were ripped off by a contractor or they needed help in some way. And so I was able to do some research, talk to different people, tell their story. And in many cases, we could get those things solved. And that was very rewarding.
So that was a way of giving back.
It was, and I love that.
But one of the keys is the word research. She just didn't go into something and say, all right, I've got the assignment. You know what, I'm just going to cover it. I'm going to run through the motions. I'll interview some people and, you know, I'll get past it. No. A tremendous amount of research went into it, a tremendous amount of background. That took a lot of time. It was tedious. It's detail-oriented. But you know what? Paid off. And that's the same thing with us in life. Do we do the type of research that is necessary to achieve our end story, to achieve our end goal? When we do, not if, when we do, we will get those positive results. We will be able to uncover the true story. But here's the difference. She did story about other people. You get to do your own story just as long as you do your own research. So you went from the journalism from Channel 7, and you said, you know what, I'm tired of reporting the news. Now, I want to make the news, right? So you became the press secretary for Senator Johans, which in itself was probably your first time in the political arena and political career.
It was, on that side of it.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Now, that's a change.
Huge change.
Most people resist change. Why didn't you?
Because I'm crazy. I don't know. No. To be honest, I'm not sure. I'm still making the adjustment. I've been out of news now for 4 years, and I feel like I'm still sort of figuring it out and testing the waters because
Right.
as a reporter, you are in control of the story. You are in control of how you tell the story, how you write the story, how you present the story. And when you turn the tables,
Right.
And now you're being interviewed, it can be a little nerve-wracking, right?
Sure,
you don't know
sure.
what they're going to ask.
Exactly.
You don't know how they're going to put it together. And knowing my background in television, and having edited stories myself,
Right.
I understand how that process works. But part of my experience in news has really helped me in this new endeavor because I do know what their needs are.
Right.
I respect their profession. I understand that they have a deadline, and I respect their time. And so knowing all of those things and knowing, really anticipating
Right.
what they're going to ask me is very helpful.
Sure.
And it's helpful when I am advising perhaps my boss when he's doing an interview,
Right.
or the senator when he was doing
Right.
an interview. I get that world, and so that has been a great asset of mine on this other side, but I'm still getting used to it.
Sure. So if I was to say you stepped out of your comfort zone
Yes.
into something somewhat uncomfortable, but you began to transfer the skills that you had, and you said, you know what, this is doable, it's going to be a little bit different for me. I don't mind. And I love when you said I'm crazy, because that's what needs to happen in life. You have to do crazy things in life. You've got to step out of your comfort zone, because what's going to happen? That zone will close in on you. You know, a lot of people think, all right, I'm in my comfort zone, it'll always be there. But no, it closes in on you, because all of a sudden you become trapped. And what you want to be able to do is to step out of that comfort zone, take those skills with you, by the way, and get them transferred over. And as Kristi said earlier, she knew what to expect in her new position, and she adopted real well. Is she still in her comfort zone? No. Why? Because you ended up leaving Senator Johan's office, and then you started working now for the Director of Communications for MECA. Now that's got to be totally different too.
It is. Still some politics involved, of course,
Yeah.
but for the most part, my job now is to handle all of the media and the public relations, and I'm the complaint department for
Okay.
two of the largest entertainment facilities in our community, the CenturyLink Center and TD Ameritrade Ballpark. But it suits me very well because, one, I love to be around people,
Okay.
and I'm always around people. I can't sit at my desk.
Right.
If I'm sitting for more than an hour, I'm going a little nuts.
Yeah.
And it's constantly changing. We always have events happening in those facilities.
Right.
And I love that. I love seeing every day as a different day,
Sure.
and every day as a reporter was a different day with a different assignment. So that really hasn't changed. So it's just the
Diversity.
atmosphere.
It's diversity, it's
Sure.
the atmosphere. But the other word I think I'm hearing, it's the challenge. The challenge of doing something different every day, where it's not routine, where it's not boredom, where every day you've got something brand new to look forward to. And at the end of the day, you're happy. Now I'm going to change that. You're actually thrilled with what you've accomplished during that day. Because who wants to do everything the same every day? You don't. But your skills, your talents, can be easily transferable to somebody else and to something else. And you know the other thing she said, she loves to be around people. That's one of her core competencies that she takes advantage of. Each and every one of us has a core competency in our personality that will lead us, that will drive us to the success that we are entitled to. And it's thrilling to see your career. It's thrilling to see the changes. But you're also so involved with your family. How do you create that balance between family needs, between career needs, and of course, Kristi Andersen's personal needs? How do you do that?
It's hard. It can be really hard. And I am just like any other working mom, to be honest, where you feel like you're pulled in a bunch of different directions. I think the key for me, and really what has helped me be successful in that world, which we're all still working on it day to day. Nobody's perfect.
Right.
But I have family and friend support. And that's huge. I have a husband who is more of a 9-to-5er, and so he's able to really pinch hit, if you will, with the kids. I have two children, ages 6 and 8, a little boy and a little girl.
That's terrific.
And they're awesome, and
Right.
and I wouldn't change anything. But you have to make adjustments in your life,
Sure.
and the fact that I have wonderful a mother and father-in-law who is close by, I have a husband who picks up the kids and helps, and I have great friends. That's been the key to my success, really, is the support system that I've always had, from the time of my grandmother to
Right.
my parents to now what I have today.
So that support system, did it
Yes.
happen automatically? Was it something that was cultured? How do people develop that support system that you have?
Well, I think that if you weren't blessed with that at
Right.
home, and not everyone is,
Right.
I think that you can find that. You can
Right.
find that likeness in other people that are like you, and I think part of that is just getting out and networking with people
Right.
and being around people, finding things that are of interest to you. You will be drawn to other people like you, and then they can become your support
Right.
system.
Right.
So, you find people in your current profession, for instance.
Sure.
You work with these people 8 hours a day, so
Right.
certainly you have a pretty good connection with some of them. But you'd be surprised, I think, if you just step out of your comfort zone and ask for help,
Right.
which people are hard. It's hard to
Absolutely.
do.
Absolutely.
But I've never been a person who has been afraid to ask for help.
And that's the key. Asking for help from your support system. Sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, we wander around aimlessly and we don't ask for the support, but there's somebody there that wants it. All they have to do is to be asked by you, and the results are absolutely phenomenal. Kristi, what's one of the greatest achievements that you've ever done?
You know, we talked about some of the stories, and certainly I'm very proud of being able to help people through difficult situations just by simply telling their story, or working with a guest to get a ticket situation solved. I mean, I love to do that. I love
Right.
to solve problems and help people. But honestly, I have to say that since my kids have been born, that is my proudest moment. They're the world to me, and
go.
what I do now is really, through my career, is not to move myself forward as much as it is to set an example for my kiddos,
There you go.
especially my little girl. I want her to be fearless and more successful than I could ever dream of being.
Sure. And how do you get her to feel that way? It's a want,
Yes.
but how do you take that want into a process and an end result?
I think you take those examples of we're all afraid in some
Right.
regard, and kids are the same way, where
Right.
they might say, "Well, no, I can't do that," and my husband and I are very quick to correct them. No, can't isn't a word,
Sure.
and that's what was told to me when I was a
Right.
child. So I'm sort of setting the same example for my kids. I want them to know that no matter what, we're going to be here. You never fail unless you stop trying.
You never fail unless you start trying. I love that, because you know what happens sometimes? People turn into try babies. You know what a try baby is? I tried it, it didn't work. It's a cry baby obviously with a T. Now, sometimes try babies are good things because you've actually tried it. You've got to take that step. And it's okay to sit back, as Kristi said, you know what, I failed, big deal, you start again. And that is the important thing. That's where it becomes very, very professional career advancement for you, for your family, and for your support. Kristi, if there was something that you would want everybody to take away from this interview, what would it be?
And I think it's those two things. I think it's you never fail until you stop trying. My
Right.
dad would say it all the time to us as kids. You show up, you work hard. The harder you work, the luckier you get.
There you go.
And never be afraid to ask for help, because certainly I recognize there are way more smarter people in the world than I am. So if I don't know how to do something, well, I'm going to ask and gain their knowledge.
That's right.
And I can be successful then too.
And how many of us can take exactly what Kristi said and adopt it to our lives? The answer, by the way, is everybody. There's nobody excluded from that advice. Everybody is inclusive of everything that Kristi just said. So if we review for a moment, she's got a great career filled with daily challenges, a marvelous family, always upbeat. Why? Because she took the advice of others, because she wants to be, and because she asks for help. Each and every one of us could be and should be a Kristi Andersen in our own life. Kristi,
Oh, thanks.
thank you so much for
been
that
a pleasure.
marvelous and profound advice.
Oh,
and I
thank
know
you.
that you've impacted others as they've watched you, your career here in Omaha, and everything that you've done. And
Thank you.
speaking as far as Omaha is concerned, we're very grateful for everything that you've done for us.
I sure appreciate it. Thank you,
My
Andy.
pleasure. So let me ask you this question. It's time to go on a trip. and you're going to be visiting somebody in another city, but you got to go on an airplane. Now, what's the first impression that comes to your mind? I hate airplane travel. Oh my gosh, the lines, the delays, the luggage, the extra fees, getting the right seat. Who am I going to sit next to? I just about in recent years have never seen anybody come off an airplane happy with the flight. And that's a shame. But you know what? When they got to their destination, yeah, they told a story or two, but they forgot about how miserable it was. And as a matter of fact, they're going to go through that same event when they go back home. You've done it, you know it. But has it ever stopped you from getting to your destination? Have you ever said, no, I'm not going to make this visit, I'm not going to go on vacation? Absolutely not. One of the things we have to learn in life, you've got a destination. Every one of them is an airplane trip. You forget how bad it was when you get there, and it becomes worth it for each and every one of us. So let's review what you've learned this week on your Omaha High with Andy Greenberg. The first thing that you learned is, what are you going to do with an alien experience? You're going to shatter yourself from any one of those pre-influences that were negative, and you're going to evaluate it on your own how good that new encounter is going to be for you. Think of that rowboat. Think of yourself rowing that boat. Think of yourself getting to that destination that you deserve to get there. Don't just be stagnant. Go ahead, do the work, take the effort, and get it done. And of course, the airplane trip. You know how miserable it is, but when you get to that destination, you are thrilled that you took that journey. You are thrilled that you took that trip. And of course, everything that Kristi taught us, in addition to those 3 vignettes, will allow each and every one of us to get to that stage in life where there is that balance. Can you do it alone? No. Are you expected to? No. Shows like this, the support system that you develop, the support system that's out there just for the asking, will get you to each and every one of those locations in life that you deserve to be, that you want to be at, because you too can and should live the Omaha Dream. Well, you know something? Earlier, Kristi talked about young children. Next week, we've got somebody who is 11 years old. Francisca Stessman is going to be here, and man, does she have great accomplishments. She is a dancer who right now will be touring with a Hollywood dancing group. She won the 2009 Nebraska's Got Talent. She played Annie in a John Beasley production. She's going to teach each and every one of us how to live that life based on goals and desires, talents, and skills. So where are you going to be next week at this exact time? You're going to be here on your Omaha High with Andy Greenberg, learning all about Francisca. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Your Omaha High with Andy Greenberg was sponsored by Best Buy Signs, creator of the Omaha Parks Program, OmahaFastFoods.com, Certified Transmission, Shold It, Rotella's Italian Bakery, La Peeps Restaurant, 2 Men and a Truck, Shout Weekly, Critter Control, Russ Kaplan Investments.